This is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I am back. And this time with a very interesting and very important topic to all of us. And this topic is about relationships and how one can attract the opposite sex. And relationships could be several, you know, in terms of having a relationship with parents or children or siblings. We're not talking about that. We are talking about a relationship with the opposite sex. It could be, a boyfriend or a girlfriend relationship. It could be a marriage partner. But mainly we'll be talking about relationship with the opposite sex, which in terms could be romantic relationships per se, and how we can use Vedic astrology to develop strong, long lasting relationships. First of all, we should know how to attract the opposite sex, and then, we can think about strong, long lasting relationships. And a lot of people struggle with this problem because, first of all, to be able to attract the opposite sex requires a lot of work, and a lot of people do not know where to start from. And you'll come across various videos of people getting trained, going to conferences and training sessions and reading books and trying all sorts of things, because after all, relationship is a very important part of their lives, and everybody craves for love, everybody craves for attention, a little caring. So this becomes extremely important, and more so because then, once you have a relationship, once you are able to, rather, coming back to, once you're able to attract the opposite sex, only then you can think of building a relationship. And then, of course, if things go normal and okay, then maybe getting married and starting a family, so on and so forth. But the $1 million question here is how to attract the opposite sex. And families in the East, they're a little lucky in that manner, that the parents do arrange for the matches, meaning which the parents of the groom and the parents of the bridegroom, they will sit down, and then they will discuss over it, and then they will find a great match for their children. And if things go okay, they would finalize the wedding. So a lot of responsibility of finding the spouse goes on the parents. So the girl and the boy do not have to do a lot of work. But times are changing, and there are the new generation, even in the East, places like India, where they want to choose their own partners. So they go out there and they meet people at the place of work and at the place of entertainment, meaning which, they may be going out for a place where there could be a common interest, like a hobby, and meet people other than a place of work. And once again, there are certain people who have the ability to attract the opposite sex pretty quick and in a very strong way, as compared to others who cannot. And it happens to both the sexes. You'll find even an office, for example, and like I said, it necessarily does not have to be a place of work, an office, but there could be a girl whom people are watching, or guys are watching, or men are watching, and there could be a guy whom women are watching. They'll turn their heads around. So what makes that person so attractive to the opposite sex? And so once again, there are seminars, courses, books, training sessions, but we are talking Vedic astrology today. How do we use Vedic astrology to attract the opposite sex? So first and foremost, what attracts the opposite sex to a person is confidence. How much of a confidence that person radiates from him, that is extremely important. That, is the foremost, I would say, most important thing. Because you'll see a lot of people who are maybe very, very, very talented, very good looking, but guess what? They do not have the confidence. They lack confidence, and that makes them a very, very simple person, or that makes them a person who, cannot or does not have the ability to attract people like a magnet, as compared to somebody who may not be as good looking and he has the ability to attract somebody because of his self-confidence which he radiates. So what is the planet which helps you to be confident? And then, of course, if you're confident from inside, because you are what you think you are, pretty much. So in case you feel confident from inside, you will look confident, you will radiate that energy, and that's a very, very major step towards attracting somebody, especially the opposite sex. And what is that planet? That planet, my friends, is the planet Moon. Moon, as is about self-confidence. Moon, people in whose charts Moon is strong or well placed or exalted, they will radiate confidence because they feel confident from inside. Moon is associated directly with the mind. So check out in your birth chart as to where your moon is placed. Is it debilitated? Is it afflicted? Is it being aspected by a malefic? Is it in a wrong place or a placement? That is number one. So how do we correct that? Of course, there are remedies again, and I'm not going to get into remedies again in this video, because the length of the video may be short to discuss the remedies. But look out for where your moon is placed. That's first and foremost, because it's about confidence and what you think in your mind about yourself. And the second thing is that in a relationship, once you are in a relationship, or if you want to be in a relationship, it is very important that as soon as you attract somebody or the opposite sex, per se, as we're discussing, the moment the interaction starts, one does not have to be very attached to that relationship, and that puts the other person off. And I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me on that once you get too attached, especially in the initial interaction times, the other person may just back off a little and feel, okay, well, is the guy trying to control me, or why is he getting so attached? So the second thing which I would like to bring to your attention here is that do not get attached too much in a relationship initially or even in the long term, because a lot of relationships break because the other person starts to feel that, oh, I want my space. Okay, I think you're getting too attached. I need my space. I need my independence. I don't want you to be breathing down my neck all the time. So detachment is the word here. One has to be detached. And what is the planet? And how do you get detached? And what is the planet that makes you get detached? It is a sattvic planet. And which other sattvic planet can I describe you better than the planet Jupiter? So look out for that planet Jupiter, which will make you spiritual, which will make you non-attached. Or some guys or girls get extremely jealous, very possessive in their relationships. That's again attachment, too much attachment. And the planet here, which I'd like to talk to you about, is Jupiter, which will give the intelligence, or not the intelligence, the wisdom to understand that too much of attachment and jealousy and possessiveness may ruin the relationship, or even if you're starting out an interaction to attract the opposite sex, it could actually, put them away. That this guy's just, too much. He's getting too attached and too possessive. So look out for that planet Jupiter in your birth chart, which will give you that understanding and knowledge and detachment, because Jupiter is a very sattvic and a balanced planet. It will not let you be extremely possessive about anything, and we're talking about relationships here and attracting the opposite sex. The other thing which is extremely important to attract the opposite sex is to be happy. And that's, believe me, that's a trigger. As soon as the other person looks at you and says, oh, he's a happy person, I want to be with him, I want to be happy too, because a lot of us are struggling with that issue. I want to be very happy myself. So what is that planet which can bring you happiness? What is that house in the birth chart which can get you happiness? What is the house in the birth chart which can give you the pleasures? And the house of pleasures and happiness, well, of course, there could be other houses as well, which we can discuss in detail in other videos, but mainly it's the fifth house. So look out for the fifth house. Are any malefics posted there? Are there any aspects on the fifth house? Where is the Lord of the fifth house placed? Are you having enough fun in your life? Are you happy in your life? Are you having the pleasures in life? And if you're not, it is a afflicted fifth house, and you're not going to be able to attract relationships. Why? Because the other person, psychologically, try to think of it. Who would want to be a person who's unhappy and not having fun and pleasures and all the good things in life? And then again, I'll come to remedies, and we're not going to discuss remedies in birth chart, but look out for the fifth house. And fifth house, of course, as is a house of relationships and love affairs as well, because it's about pleasures. So fifth house, extremely, extremely, extremely important. So we talked about the confidence part given to us mainly by moon. We talked about the detachment part, because that ruins a relationship, even in the initial interaction, and doesn't let you, or radiates a feeling of possessiveness, which is, sometimes it puts the other person off, which, you can look at your placement of Jupiter. And the fun part, which is the fifth house, the house of pleasures. And as is, like I said, it's a house of love and relationships. And then, of course, if it's afflicted, then there are remedies, and there are various mantras and remedies and gemstones and rudrakshas, and we'll get into that in some other time. But look out for these. And of course, the most important, not the most, we've been talking most important things earlier as well. So one of the most important I'll mention is how you look, because the looks is the first impression. The first impression is the last impression. So what makes a good look? A good body. Well, that's first and foremost. Good body as far as a woman is concerned. A man gets attracted to a good looking woman in terms of a nice body, and a woman gets attracted to a man with a good looking guy with a good body. I'm not saying, it in a derogatory manner, saying that, that is what one should look for. I'm not saying that, that should be the only reason why men could get attracted to women and women could get attracted to women just based on their body structure. No. But yes, it plays an extremely important part as far as attracting the opposite sex is concerned. So what constitutes a body? We know it's the first house, the ascendant, the lagna. So look out for that ascendant, the lagna. And of course, we all go to gyms and we walk and we do yoga and we do jog and we exercise, we do all kinds of things. But yes, we're talking today about from a Vedic perspective based on your chart. So is your lagna afflicted in any way? Where is your lagnesh, or the Lord of the lagna, placed? Extremely important. Is it afflicted? Is it aspected? Is it a benefic sign itself, or is it a malefic? Where is it placed? All these things have to be taken into consideration. And then remedial measures again. You know, the beauty about Vedic astrology is that it provides remedial measures. Sometimes overinflated egos can be a put off for certain people, and then they are always having problems, first of all, with their self esteem, because, and I'll come to why I'm mentioning self esteem along with ego in a second, because ego is directly related to the planet Sun. So if you have an overinflated ego, of course we all should have some amount of ego, but if overinflated ego, which is unreasonable, it's because of an afflicted Sun. So look out for that. Where is and how is your Sun placed? Is it weak, strong? And of course, like I just mentioned, that self-esteem is also directly related to the planet's Sun. Like I just mentioned to you a few seconds ago, that I'll come to that, why I mentioned self-esteem. Self-esteem is also a direct resultant to a well-placed Sun. So if you have a well-placed Sun, you know, you will radiate good amount of self-esteem and willpower, and that also is a very, very strong energy to be able to attract the opposite sex, I would say. Are you lazy? Do you exercise? Look at it from the point of view of the planet's Saturn. Saturn is about discipline. Well, are you disciplined to go to the gym or not? How's your Saturn place? Is it afflicted? Are you lazy? Again, relationship with the planet Saturn. And then, of course, for first and foremost, which I should have discussed in the initial part of the video, is the seventh house. Seventh house is a very important house. Of course, fifth house is about romance and love, and then seventh house is about relationships directly. What planets are placed in the seventh house? Are they afflicted? Are malefics placed there? What are the aspects? What are the strengths? All these things have to be taken into consideration, and again, remedial measures have to be undertaken as far as taking care of matters related to the seventh house is concerned. So hopefully, you know, I gave you my perspective of how to attract the opposite sex, taking into consideration the view of Vedic astrology. Of course, I will mention here that this is not out of what has been written in the scriptures, but definitely in the scriptures, all these significations which I have mentioned, like confidence, related to is a signification of the planet Moon. Sun, related to self-esteem and our egos. Saturn, about discipline and hard work. The fifth house, about love and marriage, love and romance. The seventh house, about relationships. All these have been mentioned in the ancient scriptures. All we have to do is understand them and try to use it in our day-to-day lives. And today's topic, of course, we discussed about how to attract the opposite sex. Didn't want to make it a little heavy by quoting shlokas from the ancient scriptures this time. Wanted to kind of give you a lighter perspective on this particular topic. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic soon. Goodbye.